And Tab, if you would, just obviously the team rallied back with 2 goals in the second half to get the equalizer. Can you just talk about team's performance this evening and your thoughts on rallying back to get the draw?
Overall, I think the team worked hard, created a lot of chances. We were down 2-0 at half, but really we should have been up. We created a lot of chances in the first half that really should have put us ahead in the game. And it was kind of surprising to be down in a game in which we, obviously the penalty is one, but we created many other chances to be ahead in the game. So at halftime, I felt there wasn't a lot to change. And, guys kept going, and, you got to give them credit. They did a great job coming back. It's not easy.
Thanks for that. We'll go ahead and open up for questions. Again, as usual, guys, click the raise your hand button if you have a question for Tab. We'll start with questions in English, followed by questions in Spanish. Got one here in the press box. We'll start with Glenn Hill in person here.
Hey, Tab, how you doing? I asked this question last week, and I'm going to give it another try. It sounds like the situation with the lease is finalized. Can you talk a little bit about, I guess, your next man up mentality, if that is your perspective? And then also, when you first took this job, how long did you maybe expect to coach Albert?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And it's really, I haven't answered it properly because it has been up in the air the whole time, and really since June. But at this point, yeah, I mean, Albert is obviously gone, and we need to move on to another player. Not that, Albert can be replaced. I think that's the end of a cycle. Albert was a player who had, other aspirations and other dreams, and that was to play in Europe. And I think we needed to open the door to that because we needed players here who were fully 100% focused on what we're doing.
Thanks, Tab. I've got one more question here in the press box with Riley James. Go ahead, Riley.
Tab, thanks for taking the time. You mentioned that you should have been up at the break. Being down 2 goals, the team rallying back in the second half, tying the game. I know you're obviously not happy with, dropping some points, but what's it say about your team that you were able to rally back?
I think it says a lot. It says a lot because I know that at the beginning of the year, one of our bigger challenges was the way we put our heads down every time we gave up a goal. And it was the end of the world. And I don't think we're that team anymore. I think we just keep playing. And that's what I told the team at halftime. I wish I could give you, some tactical adjustments that are going to open this game. But this game is already open for us. What we need is better energy in the second half without desperation. And I think we played a very professional second half, and all the credits to the players because it's not easy.
You mentioned the penalty kick as well. Darwin Quintero took that one. What was the thought process behind that on the field when you do have Mauro Manotas on the field? And he's, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, he's the second, has the second most goals in team history. Why isn't he taking that penalty kick?
That's a good question, but that's not a decision I normally like to make. From my own experience, and this is going back to me being a player, a penalty is very much on how you feel at that moment. And so I feel like always the players can decide. Now, if you have some obviously arguments and stuff like that, then you step in. But otherwise, I always like the player that feels like he can score to take the penalty. So they can decide that on their own.
Thank you, Seb.
Okay, we've got a question on the Zoom. Garrett Heinrich, we'll go ahead and start with you. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and you should be able to go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Tab, how's it going? Talk a little bit about, like, as you mentioned, as a player, you've been in some of these situations. When you're in a game where you have a first half where you feel like you should have scored and the goalie's playing really well, did you talk to the team about that at all, about just keep making sure to press?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we said. We said to not get desperate. We were doing the right things. We were creating the chances. We missed a one-on-one against the keeper. Keeper made a couple other great saves besides the penalty. So, I can't go in at halftime and tell the players they're not doing a good job because they really were. We should have been up at halftime. Unfortunately, we weren't. So the important part was to maintain that energy going into the second half without being desperate.
It seemed like the offense was funneling through Darwin Quintero a lot. Can you talk about just what he means to sparking the offense, keeping them going in the second half?
Darwin's a special player, and he's always been a special player. And so we try to get him the ball as much as we can because in the end, all we can do is feed him the ball and then have guys getting in good situations to find the ball from him. And I think we're doing a pretty good job with that. We're keeping the right side wide open and making the field big. And we have our center forward making diagonal runs behind the defense. So, you know, I'm happy with what I'm seeing from them.
And last question, thank you. How big is it to be able to make the amount of changes you did and still see production, still see pressure, and still see chances coming from the likes of Nico Hansen, Christian Ramirez, everyone who came on late in the game?
Yeah, I mean, but I have confidence in all the players that we have. You know, it's certainly not an easy task to keep everybody focused, you know, because inevitably everybody wants to be a starter and they want to play all the time. But you can only play 11 guys, and you can only play the guys at the moments where you think you're going to win. And then you have to provide some opportunities to other guys so you can keep them fresh in case you have an injury, they're prepared to come in. So obviously we would have liked to have given Christian some more minutes today. But I also wanted to try Ari at the 9 because going forward, we'd like to see that as well. I think Ari can be a very good 9 for us and gives us another option. So I wanted to see that for a little while as well.